Chagiga Daf Yud Daled continues the Gemara Zagadata discussing descriptions, as it were, allegorically, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Kisei HaKavod, the Malachim, and Ma'aseh Merkava. Along the way, the Gemara will spend some lines discussing 18 curses mentioned by Yeshayahu and a description of various levels of Talmid Chachamim and how they are hinted at in those psukim. So the Gemara begins by discussing two opinions as to how Malachim are created. First one is Shmuel, who said to Chia bar Abba that I'll tell you something wonderful that your father had said. And he says that every day Malachim are created from the Dinur river, that is the river of fire. Dinur is also the scrambled letters of the word Yarden. They say Shira before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and when they finish saying Shira, they are destroyed. They flow back into the river of flame. And this is derived from Chadash and Labkarim, Rabba and Munasacha knew every day do they relate your trustworthiness. Now, Shmuel ben Achmeni disagrees, because he says, in the name of Yonasan, that the Malachim are created by every word of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Each word that he speaks, as it were, creates Malachim, like it says, B'dvar Hashem Shemayim Nasu, V'rach Biv Kol Tzavam. In the word of Hashem, the heavens are created, and at the wind of his mouth, every one of his legions. Now the Gemara brings several contradictions in the psukim in Sefer Daniel, describing, as it were, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So one says that he has white hair, one says he has black hair. It says, Levushay Keteleg Chiver, his clothing is like bleached snow, like pale snow, V'seyar Reishay Ke'amar Naka, and the hair of his head are like whitened wool. But then it says in Sherashirim Kvutzotzov Taltalim Shchoros Gorev, his locks are curly and black as a raven. So does he have white hair or black hair? Whereas it's not a kasha. One is when he is, as it were, being involved in learning. Then he's seated as in yeshiva, so he's like an old man, because the proper person, the proper look of one who's involved in learning is old age, and that's when he has white hair. The other is when he's involved in war, that is proper for a young person, and therefore he is then described as having black hair. Now, there's also a contradiction in a pasuk. It's the same pasuk actually in Sefer Daniel as to how many thrones there are, how many kisei hakavod. So in the beginning it says Kar Savan Romiv, he has chairs, he has kiseis, and then later it says at the end of the pasuk it says Karsei Shivivin Di Nor, his throne is sparks of flame. So is it one or is it two? So the Gemara offers three answers to this. Gemara's first approach is from a brisa that says, quotes Rabbi Akiva, who says that the two kisei hakavods, one is for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, one is for David HaMelech, who sat al kisei Hashem, he sits near HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Rabbi Yisrael said, Akiva, you're making the Shechina chol, you're making it mundane. You think HaKadosh Baruch Hu sits next to a human. It's not what it's for. One is for din and one is for tzedakah. It's a special throne that he sits on when he's judging the world according to a strict attribute of justice, and one when he's judging the world charitably. Gemara asks, was Rabbi Akiva makabel? Did he accept that from Rabbi Yisrael or not? The Gemara brings a proof that he did, because we have a different brisa that quotes Rabbi Akiva that says what is for din and one is for tzedakah. Now Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah there said to Rabbi Akiva, said, Akiva, what are you involved with? Haggadah. You should be involved with halacha, go learn negaim and ahalos. That's not what it is. And this is the third approach that he gives. He says one is a kisei, one is a chair, and one is a footstool. That is something you have near your chair. The kisei is to sit upon, and the footstool is like it says, Va'aretz hadom ragla hashemayim kisi, Va'aretz hadom raglai. Again, all allegoric as it were, because the Kadosh Baruch Hu, of course, has no body and has no legs. Then the Gemara says, when Avdimi came from Eretz Yisrael, he said that there were 18 curses that were set over by Yeshayahu Hanavi to Klal Yisrael, and it still did not cool his thoughts, that is, didn't seem to satisfy, until he said the following one. He said, Yerhavu anar b'zaken v'hanikla b'nechbad. The youth should gloat over the older one, and the low one, the lowly one, will gloat over the honorable one. So the Gemara says, what are the 18 curses that we're referring to? So the Gemara quotes several psukim in a row, and the Gemara will explain the terms in each of them. So the psukim are Kihine ha'adon Hashem tzavakos, because the master Hashem, master of legions, Meisir Yerushalayim u mi Yehuda, removes from Yerushalayim and Yehuda, Mash'ein u Mash'eina, something to lean on. Two expressions meaning something to lean on. Kol mishan lechem, anything to lean on for bread. V'chol mishan mayim, anything to lean on for water. Gibor v'ish machama, strong man, man of war. Shofet, a judge. Navi, a prophet. Koseim, the Gemara will define. And zakein. Tzar chamishim, nesoi panim, captain of the 50, someone who people look up to. Yoetz, an advisor. Chacham, wise. Charashim, also wise. Navon, lachash, understanding mystical things. Benasati na'arim sareim v'ta'alulim yimshu vam. I will give their youth as sareim, as their masters, and foxes will rule over them. So the Gemara explains how these are 18 curses all together. So the Gemara says it works through these psukim one by one and defines what these terms are. So mash'ein, that refers to people who know psukim. Bali mikra. Mash'eina, that refers to people who know mishnayos, like Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema and his chaverim. And there's a machlokes amarayim, how many sidrei mishnah they had in their days. Machlokes Rav Papa and Rabbanan. One says there were 600 sidrei mishnah, and one says there are 700 sidrei mishnah. By comparison, today we have only 6. Kol mashein lachem, that refers to people who know Talmud, people who know Gemara. Like it says, L'chu lachmu b'lachem yushasu b'yein masachti. So you see the word maseches is related to lechem. Now, chol mashein mayim, what's that? That's bali agada, people who know agadata, because that is something which is compared to water. Shemoshchen li v'shel adam kamayim, it draws a person's heart afterwards. It's interesting, like water. Gibar is somebody who knows different sugis. He knows halachos. Maybe doesn't know the exact derivation of them, but he knows halachos psukos. Ish mechama, somebody who knows how to argue and discuss in Torah. He knows how to give and take in Mechamta Shel Torah, the war of Torah. That's why it's called the man of Mechama. Shofet is a judge that judges the true halacha. Navi is, as it means, a Navi. Koseim is a king, because we see Koseim al Sfasai Melech, al Sifsei Melech, and therefore you over there you have the term Kesem al Sifsei Melech. You have the term Kesem together with the word Melech to show that a Koseim means a king. Now Zakein is somebody who should sit. He's fitting to sit and to learn. Sar Chamishim, a captain of the 50, we don't read as Sar Chamishim, but as Sar Chumshin, somebody who knows to learn and give and to take in all the 5 books of Torah. Another pshat in that is, like Rabbi Avo said, that you do not have the right to speak in public and have somebody be your meturgamon, have somebody be your amplifier to say over what you said until you're 50 years old. Now, Nisu Panim, that means somebody who is honored and looked up to both in the upper worlds and in the lower worlds. In the upper worlds, that would be somebody like Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa, who in his merit all of the world was supported, was given food. The lower worlds, that would be somebody who's looked up to, like Rabbi Avo in the house of the Caesar, that he was honored by the kings far and wide. Now, Yoetz, that means somebody who knows when to make a leap year and a leap month, when to make a 29-day month, when to make a 30-day month. Chacham, that's a Talmud who can actually add wisdom to his Rebbe with his questions. Chereshim is from the word cheresh, meaning somebody who cannot hear or cannot speak. When he speaks divrei Torah, nobody has anything to say against him, nobody has anything to argue, so everybody else becomes like a cheresh. Now, a navon, that is somebody who understands something from something else. He's able to learn things out of what he's told and draw his own conclusions. Lachash is somebody who you can give divrei Torah to. That's divrei Torah which is given belachash. That's secret. This the mysteries of the Torah, which we saw on the last daf, is someone who's an Av Vezdin as well as has a very serious heart. And what it says afterwards on all of them is Vanasati Na'arim Sarayim, I'll make the youths their leaders. What does that means? Na'arim here doesn't mean youth. Na'arim is from the word nu'ar, meaning shaken out, to somebody who is shaken out of mitzvos and has none, that they will become in charge of all these people. Talulim yimshlu, the foxes will rule over them. That's like Rav Papa bar Yaakov, who said, Tali b'nei Tali, fox is the son of the foxes. Now, all this did not cool off Yeshayahu Hanavi's nevuah until he said, Yerhavu hanor bezakein, that the youth will gloat over the older one, v'hanikla benichbad, and the lowly one over the honored one. That refers to people that are also shaken out of mitzvos, who will gloat over those that are full of mitzvos, like a rimon, like a pomegranate. The lowly one is somebody who treats important things like light things, will rule over someone who treats even light things like important things. The Gemara continues its drasha of psukim in Sefer Yeshaya, discussing the Churban. And here the Gemara speaks in praise of the people of Yerushalayim, and says, Rav Katina says, even at their lowest point when Yerushalayim was destroyed, they still had honest people there, and quotes psukim that show that somebody would be asked to be a leader or to say that he understood things, and he would be honest and say, no, I don't understand, and I can't be the leader. So the Gemara quotes the psukim and says, Ki yispos ish ba'achav beis aviv simla l'cha katzin tia lanu v'amachshel hazos tachas yedecha. So one person will grab his brother's sleeve, and it uses the word simla, and it says, be our leader, and this machshela should be under your hand. So Gemara says that means simla refers to Torah, that a person covers himself with it and he hides, because there's things that people don't know and they don't want to be asked. Those are the hard parts of the Torah. Machshela azos is hard things that one doesn't understand unless he first trips over them. So he'll be asked to say all these things and to show his understanding of it. But he'll answer and he'll say, the next pasuk, Yisa v'yamahu le'mar lo eya chovesh v'vesi ein lechem ein simla lo sisimuni katzin So he'll say, I can't be your chovesh, I don't have bread and simla in my house, and I can't be your leader. So he'll be honest. So the Gemara explains what this pasuk means. So Yisa means he will swear, like it says, Lo sis Hashem ekechel hashav. Lo eichovish means I wasn't somebody who sits in the base medrash, and I don't know. My house, I don't have bread, and simla is I don't have mikra, I don't have mishnah, I don't have gemara. So you see, he's being fully honest. The Gemara says maybe he's being honest because he doesn't want to get caught. If he'll claim he knows, they'll ask him to say it, then he won't be able to say. So he's no choice but to be honest. The Gemara says then he could just say that I knew it and I forgot. He doesn't have to give the entire story that he didn't sit in the base medrash and he didn't learn. He doesn't know anything. The Gemara asks, is it true that people at that time were honest? But Rava says they were not honest, because Rava says Yerushalayim was only destroyed because they did not have honest people anymore. Like it says in the pasuk in Yirmiyah, Shaitu b'chutzos Yerushalayim, roam around the streets of Yerushalayim, or no, see please, u'de'u v'akshu b'chovoseha, know and search in its streets, im timtu ish, im yesh osa mishpat mevakesh emuna v'eslach la. If there's anybody who is just and tells the truth, then I'll forgive it. So you see, Yirmiyahu Navi is saying that they did not have trustworthy people there. This is not a kasha. They were not trustworthy in their business dealings, but they were trustworthy when it came to divrei Torah. Now the Gemara quotes a story with Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai, which will take us to another story, all discussing the learning of Ma'aser Merkava. So the Gemara says a brisa, Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai was riding on a donkey on the road, and Rav Elazar ben Arach was riding behind him on his donkey, or he was leading a donkey, and he said, Rav Elazar ben Arach said, Rabbi, teach me one parak in Ma'aser Merkava. So he said, didn't I teach you the halacha? You're not allowed to teach Ma'aser Merkava to one person. One can only learn it on his own if he knows and he understands it. If he's a chacham and he's a maven. So he said, Rabbi, can I tell you something that I understood, something that I learned on my own, and tell me if I'm right, what I understood from Ma'aser Merkava. So he said, okay, go ahead, speak. First he got off the donkey, and he wrapped himself in a talis, and he sat on the stone under an olive tree. So Rabbi Elazar ben Arach said, Rabbi, why did you go off the donkey? They said, you're going to tell me Ma'aser Merkava? The Shechina will be here with us, the Malchei HaShavaris will be accompanying us, and I should be riding on a donkey? So Rabbi Elazar ben Arach began to speak in Ma'aser Merkava, and he said drasha, and fire came down from Shemayim and surrounded them. All the trees in the fields began to sing Shira. The Shira that they said was Halu es Hashem min ha'aretz tanidim chol tahimos eitz pri v'chol harazim hallelujah. All the trees and the earth should all sing Shira. The Malchei HaShavaris spoke from the fire and said, Hein Ma'aser Merkava, this is the true Ma'aser Merkava. Yochanan ben Zakkai kissed him on his head, and he said, Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael, blessed is Hashem, the Master of Yisrael, that gave a son to Avram Avinu, that knows to tell the difference, to research, to understand in Ma'aser Merkava. There's some people who have good drashos, but they don't keep Torah. Some people keep Torah, but they don't know how to learn it well. And then there are some who do both of them. Praiseworthy is Avram Avinu, that has Elazar ben Arach as a descendant that knows all these things and does both, keeps it and learns it correctly. And when this whole incident was set up before Rabbi Yeshua, so Hu and Rabbi Yossi HaKohen were traveling on the way, and he said, let's also learn Ma'aser Merkava. And Rabbi Yeshua began to speak, and he said the drasha. It was in the month of Tammuz, and the sky filled with clouds nonetheless. It never rains in Eretz Yisrael in the summer, which is when Tammuz is, but it filled. And then a rainbow was seen, and the Malchei Hasharet stood in groups and came to hear, like people who stand at a wedding to clap and to perform simcha before a chassan and a kala. Now, Rabbi Yossi HaKohen went and said in front of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, and he said, praiseworthy are you, and praiseworthy is one who gave birth to you. Praiseworthy are my eyes, that they have seen such things. And I and you were all seen in my dream, and we were standing on Har Sinai, and the Torah was given, and a baskal came out, and it said, come up here, to the great palace where there are beds made beautifully for them. You and your students and the students of your students are all coming here. They can all come here and join the third group of malachim. So I ask, is it true that Elazar ben Arach said a drasha on Ma'aser Merkava? Rabbi said Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda said 3 speeches. Rabbi Yeshua said a shir on Ma'aser Merkava in front of Yochanan ben Zakkai. Rabbi Akiva said in front of Rabbi Yeshua. Hanani ben Chachinai said in front of Rabbi Akiva. Elazar ben Arach is not mentioned in the list. First, that's not a problem. The only people that are on the list are those who said a drasha and who heard a drasha. Someone said a drasha to them. Elazar ben Arach only said a drasha. Nobody said a drasha to him. Therefore, he's not listed. Someone says that can't be, because on the list you have Rabbi Hanani ben Chachinai, and it only says that he said a drasha. It doesn't say that he heard a drasha. It doesn't say that anyone said a drasha to him. So Gemara says, someone who said a drasha, though, to someone else, someone who said over his drasha that heard it from him, said it over to someone else. So that counts as if his drasha was heard. Now the Gemara discusses the famous story of the 4 who went up to Pardes, that is the place, as it were, in Shemayim, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the highest level. The Gemara says there were 4 who said a shame. They went up there. They were Ben Azai, Ben Zoma, Rabbi Kiva, and Acher. Now, Rabbi Kiva said to them, when we get up there and you see, there will be like marble stones, a pure marble. Be careful, don't say, oh, it's water, I'm going to get wet. Because it's not water, it may appear to be water, but that is seeing very wrongly. And it will be a fulfillment of a dover shkarim lo yikon leneged einai. Speaking of falsehood will not last in front of my eyes. So when Azai went up there and he looked at where the Shekhinah was, as it were, and he died, because it cannot live one who sees him. On him, the Gemara says, is said, Yokar bein Hashem amavzal achasidav. He died as a tzaddik in his presence. Ben Zoma looked and he lost his sanity, and on him it says, Dvash matzasa echol dayecha pentis ba'enu v'hak asoi, that you found sweetness, you ate your fill, and then you threw it up. Acher became an apikoros. He pulled out the roots. The Gemara says he went around and uprooted any Torah knowledge. Rabbi Akiva is the only one who went in peace and came out in peace.